Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I know there's several that are live streaming this, so thank you for helping us get the message out on the benefits of hiring a licensed contractor. So recently, I've had a lot of calls in my district, people that are asking questions about their pools, who to hire, if they should have a business license. We've been getting calls for solar. What do they look for? And Senator Chris Brooks will be here today to discuss that because he passed some legislation. We also have Margie Green with the Contractors Board. And it's really important for constituents to understand all the benefits that go into protecting you when you hire a licensed contractor. So when they're unlicensed, there's no recourse for us to be able to help you. So I just want to thank folks for coming here, Senator Brooks, Ms. Green, so that we could really talk about that, because it's important, because nothing's worse than getting that call from a constituent saying, I started a pool and they kind of left midstream. This is broke. I can't fix this. Where do I go? And when we ask if they have a copy of the license that the contractor had, 9 times out of 10, the answer is they do not. And we like to say that is very hard for us to be able to help. So it's an important issue as people have been staying home, but they've been doing more work around the home. And we just want to ensure that they hire the proper people that can bring all the benefits, such as workman's comp, skilled labor, to the table. While it may be more expensive on the front end, it's a lot cheaper in the event that something should go wrong. So, Senator Brooks, would you like to come down and talk about the solar portion?
Thank you, Chair Kirkpatrick. My name's Chris Brooks, and I'm a senator here in Nevada representing Senate District 3 in the heart of Las Vegas. We're actually in Senate District 3 right now here at the Clark County Government Center. I started a solar contracting company over 20 years ago. It was the first here in the state and one of the first in the country. And in that time, I have seen all kinds of crazy things happen in this industry. How many Nevadans have had people come knock at their door and have somebody talk about, well, we can do solar for you, or flooded with internet advertising or phone calls or stalking you out in front of the Lowe's or the Best Buy, saying that they can provide you with a solar electric system? Well, unfortunately, a lot of those folks are unlicensed. They don't have a business license. They don't have a contractor's license, and then they are arranging for work for Nevadans, and a lot of times we're seeing that they're not getting licensed projects, they're not coordinating with the electric utility, and then we see that Nevadans are either getting shoddy workmanship, getting systems that don't get turned on, or they are getting their money taken from them. And unfortunately, with a lot of these types of things, they're preying on Nevadans who are the most vulnerable. Nevadans who don't speak English or don't speak English well, our senior population here in Southern Nevada, or those who are not in a financial situation that they can be able to make these investments. And so in 2017, I passed some legislation when I was in the Assembly to try to clean that up, and we still saw that there were a lot of bad actors in the industry. So I worked with the Nevada State Contractors Board and the Bureau of Consumer Protection and the Public Utilities Commission, and we put together another piece of legislation this session that hopefully is going to fix a lot of these problems. And some of the major problems we see, and it was similar to what we saw with the pool industry in the 90s and continues to this day in some cases, deposits. We were seeing contractors going in there and taking 100% deposit from a consumer with no guarantee that they would ever get the work done. So now we've made it so that you can't do that. You can't take more than a 10% deposit without starting work immediately within 30 days. We saw, and this is probably the biggest problem, deceptive advertising. I don't know how many of you have seen the Clark County solar program or things proposing or purporting to be associated with the government or associated with the electric utilities, and which neither the county or the state or the electric utility is out there selling or contracting for solar systems, but there's advertising that says they are nonetheless. So we've made it so that there is not only is that a deceptive trade practice that you can be prosecuted for, there's also a private right of action so that you as a consumer can then take legal action to try to get any damages from that deceptive trade practice. And we've also made it so that these folks who are saying that they can provide you with a solar system have to be the licensed contractor themselves. I don't know. I had a couple of kids come to my door and they said, there's this new law that just passed that says you have to have solar. And I said, oh, come on in. Let me make you a cup of coffee. And got to the bottom of it, and it was the law that I had passed. And obviously, it did not say that. So we're really trying to make it so that we're protecting the consumers here in the entire state, and making sure that if somebody says that they can provide you with a solar electric system for your home, that they are a licensed contractor. And as a licensed contractor, they are regulated by the Contractors Board, who has a stellar reputation here in the state for regulation, and the Residential Recovery Fund is available to you, so that in the event things do not go right, there is a recovery fund out there that all contractors pay into that can help make a consumer whole. And so the only way that we can make sure that that's available to them is if the contract that you sign is with the contractor who will install the project. And that's incredibly important. And so this is what we tried to do in Senate Bill 303. And I've already heard from the industry that they are excited to see this get implemented, because if you're a good company, and by the way, most solar companies out there operating are really good companies that are really looking out for Nevadans, but it's the bad ones out there that'll drag the entire industry down and really jeopardize the industry and put Nevadans at risk. And so with Senate Bill 303, and Margie Green and the entire team over at the Nevada State Contractors Board were instrumental in making sure that this got through. We aim to solve some of those problems. And another issue that is just really breaks my heart every time I see one of these agreements that folks enter into is the solar company themselves mislead the customer on what they actually pay for energy. So what we want to make sure that and it's the law says that it has to be in your contract, exactly what you're currently paying for energy, and then what you will be paying for energy in the future. There are a lot of folks who go out there and sign these deals and end up paying considerably more for energy than they did if they never had solar, and they did it so that they could save money. And more often than not, these are folks on fixed incomes where they're trying to save 20, 30 bucks a month, and that makes a huge difference to them. So, with the leadership of the Contractors Board, the Bureau of Consumer Protection, and Chair Kirkpatrick, we're trying to really see if we can provide a solution for Nevada consumers so that they don't get taken advantage of. And I'd like to introduce Margie Green, who's the Executive Director of the Nevada State Contractors Board, and to talk a little bit more about some of the things that we're doing around pool contracting as well as solar contracting. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Kirkpatrick and Senator Brooks, for having us today. As mentioned, I'm Margie Green. I'm the Executive Officer of the State Contractors Board. We license and regulate approximately 17,000 contractors in Nevada. Again, as the Chair highlighted in her remarks, unlicensed contracting activities pose serious risks to the health, safety, and welfare of the public, as well as the integrity of the industry. The pandemic has resulted in more people working from home, increasing the demand for residential construction, remodels, and repair work. This added financial stress with many families are experiencing also makes them vulnerable to predatory tactics by unlicensed contractors. Unfortunately, unlicensed contractors have not proven their knowledge or experience in the construction trade and are unlikely to carry workers' comp insurance, which may leave the homeowner in a position to be liable if they get injured on the job. If workmanship arises and you've hired an unlicensed contractor, the only remedy may be through civil litigation, which can be a costly and time-consuming process. To keep from falling victim to home repair scams, the board encourages contractors and consumers alike to be alert for red flags like demands for upfront payments, high-pressured sales tactics, or failure to provide a written contract or bid. Our message today is to only hire licensed contractors. Some of the key tips that we share with the public are to get multiple bids from licensed contractors, verify each contractor's license on the board's website, request a written contract and read through the terms carefully. Do not make large down payments. Save all your receipts and project documentation. And lastly, always contact or file a complaint with the contractors board if you're unable to resolve the issues with your contractor. By hiring a licensed contractor, you are afforded 4 years to file a complaint with the board to have those concerns investigated. And it also, you could be eligible for financial assistance from the board's Residential Recovery Fund. It's through the complaint process that we're able to identify trends and customize our efforts to resolve issues concerning public protection. In the late 1990s, the board began to experience an uptick in complaints related to the construction of residential pools and spas. Many projects were left abandoned after consumers had paid large down payments with little or no work performed. The Nevada legislature enacted laws and regulations for residential pool and spa contractors, which provided additional protections for consumers and significantly reduced the number of complaints. In recent years, similar concerns were noticed in the residential solar industry regarding misleading sales practices, unrealized energy savings, financing and down payment practices, abandoned projects, and workmanship issues. We worked with Senator Brooks closely on Senate Bill 303 to standardize practices within the residential solar industry and are confident that these changes will help reduce consumer complaints while encouraging contractors to be more diligent in how they conduct business. Again, the similarities that we saw with the pool industry and the solar industry are parallel. So we're hoping that with Senate Bill 303, that also we afford consumers more protection, and that, again, we can make the industry have the integrity that it so much deserves. I invite the public to visit the board's website or call our office with any questions at any time. Our online resources can also help provide guidance in the hiring of contractors and avoiding home repair scams. Thank you so much for attending the media event today, and thank you for hosting us today. We really appreciate it, and we're happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
So before we invite both Ms. Green and Senator Brooks to come down, because we really do want to take this opportunity to just remind consumers on a regular basis, please check for their business license, make sure they have a contractor's license, and if you can't get either one of those, you probably shouldn't be doing business with them. We are here to protect our consumers. I would also tell you there's a lot of new people and moving to our valley, so we want to make them aware. At Clark County, we really work to ensure that the consumers are protected, and our building department works with our business licensing. And I'm fortunate to have worked with both Senator Brooks and Margie Green many years in the legislature and now in our roles today to ensure that consumers are protected. So if you have any questions, I'll invite them down and we can answer them for you. We're going to start with you. Go ahead.
Well, in my experience, it's those that the senior community is being targeted largely because a lot of them are on fixed incomes, and these companies are saying that they can save them some money every month, which is incredibly appealing to somebody on a fixed income if this is a bill that you must pay. And then I've really ran into a lot of Nevadans who speak English as their second language, and so they might not be able to, without help from friends or family, be able to really fully understand some of the contracts or the nuances of the contracts that are being presented to them. And those are two groups that I've seen just really getting taken advantage of.
I can answer that a little bit regarding the solar statistics that we have. So the solar industry estimates there are over 84 solar companies employing over 7,000 workers across Nevada. Since 2016, approximately 4% or 331 of the license complaints received were against solar contractors. Of the 226 licenses revoked from 2016 to 2021, 21 or 9.2% were solar contractors. And then since 2016, 275 residential recovery fund claims have been awarded to homeowners, which total over $3.1 million. The residential recovery fund can pay a maximum of $40,000 per homeowner per claim. And so of the 174 of the claims against solar contractors totaled $767,000, which represented 63% of the total claims and approximately 25% of the total awards paid. So what we see a lot of times with the complaints coming in, they've asked for a deposit of 50% or more. And then they take out financing on their home. And then sometimes they give those checks before the work is performed. And so we have some homeowners where they've given the deposit and no work was done at all. Or the contractor has come out and done a little bit of work. And this is similar with what we've seen in the pool industry and solar boats. So the scams and the tactics being used are similar. But on average, a person on a residential pool, this was back in the late 90s, they were losing approximately $50,000. I think those numbers, when we look at them today with solar, it's approximately $25,000 to $35,000 are the losses. And most of these people cannot afford it. I mean, this is their hard-earned money, and they've refinanced their house, or they've taken out a loan or something, and it's just horrible to see what they're doing to our public. That's a great question. So, of course, we work closely with the state of California, and everything sort of starts in California, and then we see it a few years later. So California had a big problem with solar. In fact, they have just enacted a residential recovery fund for solar contractors, which I helped them work with the language on that based on our laws as well. We see it a lot in Arizona. Again, the states that have a recovery fund, those are the fortunate consumers. The ones that don't sometimes are lost with nowhere to turn other than through a court system, and a lot of times there's no money to be had at that point. So we do see it in our outlying states, particularly Arizona, California, Nevada, a little bit in Utah, but we primarily focus on the western states because we interact with them so closely.
Any other questions? Okay, well, just a reminder, thank you to our partners that came today. Really, consumer protection, we can only help you if you help yourself by making sure that you use a licensed contractor for any variety of work that you may do at your home or at your business. And the Residential Recovery Fund is there to protect you. So we'll continue to be out and about and to crack down on those that are not doing it well. And please don't hesitate to reach out to the Contractors Board, the state licensing, or any Clark County business licensing or building department to ensure your contractor is licensed. So thank you.